This is Senior Airman Erica Dudley. October saw a Navy first. For the first time, a Navy Air Facilities aircraft maintenance shop repaired a ship's engine. The new agreement has NAF Misawa repairing engines that normally would be repaired stateside, saving the Navy thousands of dollars. It may sound like comparing apples and oranges, but the engines are really quite similar.
Our senior leadership has basically asked us to go out and look for ways to save money and do some interoperability issues with the surface Navy, subsurface Navy. And this just happened to work out exactly the way we needed it to work out, because we work on P3 engines, and this is a derivative of that engine.
Speaking of the Navy, the service celebrated its 220th birthday on October 13th. The Naval Security Group activity hosted Misawa's Navy birthday ball at Kamaki's Grand Ballroom. October was a big month for exercises as Civil Engineering's Prime Beef team underwent expedience construction training. Prime Beef is responsible for setting up operational bases at a moment's notice. Once the base is built, the job has just begun.
Well, we essentially operate the base just like we do here, you know. Every day Civil Engineering is involved in the operation of this installation.
Of course, you can't expect an enemy to just let you walk up and build a base. The Prime Beef team needs to be ready for combat as well. They conducted Phase 2 training in late October, where they learned to counter enemy engagement. Early on the 27th of October, nearly 700 people stretched out over the Misawa Air Base flight line and conducted a massive FOD walk. Walkers covered about 12 million square feet of runway and taxiway to ensure foreign object damage doesn't affect Misawa's aircraft. Fire Prevention Week was the second week of October. This year's theme was Watch What You Heat, Prevent Home Fires. The fire department had an open house and a poster contest. They also invited the community to come out and try to be a fireman for a day with their annual fire muster. October 1st marked the 10th anniversary of the Family Support Center on Misawa. They sponsored an information booth at the BX Mall to help celebrate the event. The FSC supports all service members and families with programs like cooking and financial management classes, and they assist departing service members with the Transition Assistance Program. October also saw the beginning of colder weather on Misawa, and although the first snow didn't arrive until November, it did get cold enough for Civil Engineering to turn the heat on in housing areas. When the temperature dipped below 60 degrees for 3 days and 3 nights, the heating plant started a second boiler and sent steam to the residents. There was good news for people wanting to get out of the temporary living facility. Increased construction around Misawa City allowed the wait for off-base housing to decrease from 2 to 3 months to 2 to 3 days. October seemed like a great month to have some fun. The town of Shimoda held its annual Open Farm Day. It was a festival to recognize the contributions of the land. The festival included more than fun and games. There was a bounty of fresh farm products to eat. And Montel Jordan paid a visit to Misawa Air Base on October 9th. Almost 1,000 people enjoyed his performance in Hangar 949. On October 1st, Solar's elementary school hosted a unicyclist team. The team consisted of orphans from the St. Maria's Orphanage in Aomori. They visited Misawa Air Base as part of a cultural exchange program between base officials and various prefecture governments. Going from 1 wheel to 4, Solar's and Cummings elementary schools hosted an inline skate instructor during October. Young skaters learned the basic techniques needed to inline skate and also safety rules.
Some of the things that we cover is to be sure that we skate smart. We want to wear all of our pads, that we skate alert, we watch out for traffic and holes and gravel and oil in the road. We want to be sure that we skate courteous, that that pedestrians have the right of way so that things can remain open to inline skaters.
October seemed like a good time for giving as the combined federal campaign began. No monetary goal was set, but a 100% contact goal was established. But the CFC wasn't the only way to contribute your hard-earned dollars, and a robothon to benefit cancer research took place October 21st. Participants sweated for 6 long hours and raised more than $2,500 to benefit the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. And speaking of sweating, the first ever Misawa Half Marathon took place October 22nd. More than 600 runners showed up for either the half marathon, a 5K, or 10K race. The first American finisher of the 21K half marathon was Rick Torres from the 750th MI Company.
Actually, I use this as a training run. I've got another race next week. It's a relay race, marathon relay. Really, I haven't trained a whole lot with school, family. Basically just about 3 to 4 miles a day, one long run. But the course was tough.
And of course, October ended with Halloween. To celebrate, the Company Grade Officers Association set up a haunted house in a condemned housing unit.
Bring the meat! Hurry up with my meat! Bring the meat! Help me! Help me!
For those who wanted a little less fright, services celebrated Halloween with a haunted hayfest, and the chapel community spent Halloween night at a hallelujah party instead of trick-or-treating. November's main event was the 35th Fighter Wing's change of command. Brigadier General Paul Hester took the reins of power from Major General George Norwood on November 9th to become the Misawa Air Base installation commander. During the ceremony, the men and women of the 35th Fighter Wing were presented the Outstanding Unit Award. General Norwood recalled fond memories of his tenure at Misawa and thanked Japanese officials for their support.
There's a phrase I heard recently that says, "Great hosts deserve outstanding guests." Our Japanese hosts have indeed been generous and gracious, both professionally and personally. And in return, you, the members of the Misawa Air Base community, have been outstanding guests. I want you to know that I am extremely proud of you for being such positive ambassadors for America and for being such good neighbors here in northern Japan. It is you, the military members, the civilian members, and the family members who have built the very best community relations in Japan.
Brigadier General Hester previously spent 2 years in Okinawa. During the change of command, he said he's looking forward to his stay in Misawa.
The Hesters are very excited about our return to Japan. Our 2 years on Okinawa filled our treasure house of memories full, but it left plenty of space for us to return to Misawa and build even more here in the Aomori Prefecture. Misawa. What a name that has built a long and storied history for both Japan and the United States.
Just about a week before the change of command, General Norwood was made honorary mayor of Misawa City for a day. Only 3 installation commanders have had the honor over the last 10 years. It was a busy week for General Norwood. He took his last F-16 flight at Misawa just 3 days before the change of command. As he taxied his Fighting Falcon down the runway, he was greeted by a rolling salute from base personnel. The Company E Marines made news in November a couple of times. They celebrated 220 years of history at the Officers Club with the Marine Corps Ball. The night was highlighted by a very special and traditional cake-cutting ceremony. For the first time in its 44-year history, an award given to individuals for performing great deeds for the Japanese people was won by a foreigner. Sergeant Pamela Duke is the recipient of the 1995 Nippon Zenkokai Award. She teaches English on a regular basis and says the award is just a culmination of the long history of Marine community involvement. 64 members of the Misawa Gunsmoke team returned to Misawa after capturing first place in the competition at Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada. 6 teams competed in the annual competition that tests a pilot's accuracy in bombing situations. Joint exercises with Japanese emergency response teams are becoming more popular. At the end of November, Tawada's fire and rescue team joined forces with local firefighters in a simulated dormitory fire. Aside from the smoke used to portray realism, victims of the simulated fire were also evacuated and transported to local hospitals. The Misawa Inn made a name for itself throughout the Pacific. The temporary lodging facility / billeting office took top honors as the best small unit in PACAF. All aspects of day-to-day operations were taken into account when the inn was inspected during October. The Misawa Inn is now in the running for the Air Force-wide Innkeeper Award. A pair of openings, or reopenings we should say, in November. In the early part of the month, the vet clinic moved from next to the pause shelter to where the old dental clinic was. And $400,000 later, the Mokoteki Community Activity Center resumed normal operations. The center received a big facelift indoors, with the ultimate goal being customer satisfaction.